Hi, I'm attorney Dave Maldonado, a seasoned litigator with over a decade of experience in Montana. Have you been injured in a car accident? If so, remember insurance companies want to give you as little money as possible. There's a reason why they have the biggest buildings in the largest cities. Don't let big insurance bully you. Visit BigSkyDefender.com today to see how I can help you get fair compensation for your injuries. The consultation's free and the fight's real.
First heard, what was your reaction like?
I was very excited. Last year, I had a guy that I coached at the University of Illinois, Mo Gardner, and then we drafted him in Atlanta, and I coached him 6 more years in Atlanta. And I went to his last year. He wanted me to come, and I said, without a doubt, I wouldn't miss it. So I actually got to go one time and saw how it is, and it's really an awesome deal. I mean, there's, probably 2,500 people there and all these, great players and coaches from over the years and stuff. It really a very impressive thing.
Very good. We've got a pretty decent sized group up here, so I'll go ahead and start with the first one I see, which is Victor Flores. Do you have any questions for Bill, Victor?
Yeah. Hey, Bill. Nice to meet you, and congratulations on the honor. I guess just first off, just how would you sum up the last couple of days and your feelings about getting into Hall of Fame?
Well, I just found out yesterday afternoon, and Leo Costello ended up giving me a call and left me a message, and I listened to it, and I had been with a chance to be the last couple of years and wasn't selected into it, so I thought I was just had another chance. And so I called him, and he said, "No, you've been, elected into it." So I mean, it was obviously very excited, really, really happy for it. And what it does, to me, it's, for the Bobcat Nation, really. Obviously I played back in the the '70s and stuff, and all the the teammates, Coach Holland, Coach Lubick, all the guys. To me, this is sort of for everybody, really.
In just a few minutes, small business owners can now sign up for Blackfoot Communication Services. Whether it's dependable voice options or internet services, sign up simply by visiting blackfootsmallbusiness.com. Click on the services you wish, select an installation time and date, and you're done. Small business services at the touch of your fingers. Connect to more with Blackfoot Communications and blackfootsmallbusiness.com.
Coulter Nuanez, what do you have for Bill Kollar?
Hey, Coach, just a couple from me. Nice to see you. First of all, just take us back to 1973 when you were a senior at Montana State and then played in the Senior Bowl. I mean, that's now 50 full years. So a life of football for you. How's the game changed, and how have you sort of seen it evolve over these last 50 years?
Oh, yeah. I mean, it definitely has changed. Obviously, the money's so great in it now. It's, really unbelievable. And, players are, making so much, back then you played and just sort of helped you out a little bit, with your, life going forward, where nowadays, players are, they play a few years, get a good contract, and obviously they're set for life and their family's set for life. So it's really a big difference than how it used to be. But like you said, that year back in '74, I played in the East-West Shrine game, and then played in the Senior Bowl, and it was just unbelievable. All the professional coaches that were down there at the Senior Bowl in Mobile, Alabama, and stuff, and then getting a chance to play with all the All-Americans and everything that you play within that. It was really an enjoyable situation, and I was lucky enough to end up winning, the MVP of the game, which just was just, unbelievable.
Seems like a sort of, a perfect moment for you too, right? You retire from the NFL, and J.J. Watt, a guy who you have been tied closely with because you're tied with the Texans, he's retired. Sonny Holland passed away this last year. So sort of seems like your life is coming full circle these last couple weeks.
Right. I mean, it definitely does, like you said, with Coach Holland passing, I had saw him last year, and he was, definitely in, pretty tough shape. And then, I keep in, contact with Watt over the years. I coached him his first 4 years in the league. And then, he's, played 8 more and just retired, a couple days ago. So it's definitely a big difference. And, but, like you said, football's really been, good for me and my family and, everybody else associated with it. And, really happy I was able to, make it as long as I have and, have the career that I did.
And last thing for me, you mentioned just the fact that this is sort of on behalf of Montana State. Have you considered just the way that your decision to come from Warren, Ohio to Montana State some 50 plus years ago sort of impacted and set the stage for the rest of your life?
Oh yeah. I mean, there's no doubt about it. My dad, he was a steel worker back in Warren, Ohio, and had the chance to go to Montana State. He wanted me to get out, of the area. I could have gone to Youngstown State, Kent State, some schools around there. And he wanted me to, get out of the way. It was sort of a depressed area back then. So ended up going to Montana State. And obviously it changed my life forever. I mean, never regretted it, 1 second. I mean, with the people out there and the fans and backers and everything, I mean, you can't beat it. It definitely turned out to be, the best decision I ever made other than getting married to my wife. So, but
well,
yeah, really, I mean, just a tremendous deal.
Well, thanks so much, Coach. Congratulations.
You bet, Kollar.
Nothing can stop me. I'm all the way up. All the way up. I'm all the way up. I'm all the way up. Nothing can stop me. I'm all the way up. Shorty, what you want? Shorty, what you need? My niggas run game. We ain't never leave. Counting up this money. We ain't never sleeping. You got V12s. I got 12 Vs. Got bottles. Got weed. Got Molly. I'm all the way up. Shorty, what you want? I got what you need. Shorty, what you want? I got what you need.
Robbie Whittle, do you have anything for Bill?
Yeah. Hey, Coach, congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah, so I just wanted to know what you think of Montana State's program now. You obviously played there a year and some change ago, but what do you think about Montana State's program right now?
Oh, I think it's definitely, one of the top, I guess you'd say 2 or 3 in all of football right now, with the Big Sky. And then you obviously have the North Dakota State, South Dakota State. I think they've done just an unbelievable job, where they've got it now and stuff. And hopefully it's in great shape now. And it will end up be like that for years to come because, they've obviously got great back in there. The stadium's great, just everything. I mean, they have done a tremendous job there in Bozeman.
Well, that's great. And now that you're retired, you got a little more time on your hands. Do you plan on making any visits back to Bozeman, maybe talking to the team at all?
Oh yeah, no, definitely. I've done that, a couple other times before. And I told Coach yesterday, he had, texted me and congratulated me and stuff. I said, hey, since I'm retired now, I said, if you need any help, with pass rush or just whatever, it doesn't end up mattering. I'm going to have a lot of free time now. So I would definitely, be interested in helping out, now and then. So he definitely said yes, that, he would. And like I said, I talked to the team, I don't know what it was, maybe 3 years ago, and to a high school clinic up there and stuff. And really haven't been able to because, been coaching at the same time in the, the NFL, but I definitely plan on being around and helping out.
And just what would it mean for you to be able to come back and help out with the team like you talked about?
I mean, to me, obviously, once you're a Bobcat, you're always a Bobcat. I mean, you keep in touch with all the guys that you end up playing with. I have friends, from up there that when we went to school together, and then I'd go back to Fairfield, Montana. I was really good friends with Russ Allen, and we'd go hunting back at his, his ranch and stuff. Obviously, Mark Fellows, I helped end up coaching him 1 year, and he's back there. I got to see him, at one of the games this year, and it was just, tremendous, to get a chance to see these guys and stuff, and sort of renew acquaintances and stuff, because when you haven't seen guys for 30 or 40 years, it makes a hell of a difference, and some of us look a little bit different than we did back then. So but no, I really enjoy it, really look forward to it.
Hi, I'm attorney Dave Maldonado, a seasoned litigator with over a decade of experience in Montana. Have you been injured in a car accident? If so, remember, insurance companies want to give you as little money as possible. There's a reason why they have the biggest buildings in the largest cities. Don't let big insurance bully you. Visit BigSkyDefender.com today to see how I can help you get fair compensation for your injuries. The consultation's free and the fight's real.
Thanks, Coach.
You bet.
Ashley Washburn, go ahead.
Thanks, Bill. Congrats, Coach. I think it's an honor long in the waiting. You said it best yourself of you've got a lot of extra time on your hand. What's kind of the plan after this, other than just, maybe coming to Montana State every once in a while? Are you going to set up shop someplace, or what are you going to do with all this extra time?
Well, we're going to stay right in Denver. We decided that when I came out here 8 years ago. We were going to move to Arizona when I retired. And then with my grandkids, I've got 2 grandsons here, 8 and 11 years old, in Denver. So we decided that we'll just retire here. And, I'll help with them with their sports. I stay pretty active with them at school and stuff. And then again, do a lot of traveling. I've got 3 granddaughters out in San Francisco, and we'll go out them and visit them a bunch. And then I like to play a bunch of golf. So I'll definitely end up, playing a bunch of golf now too.
Hey, that's the way to do it. And then, Coulter kind of mentioned it, just the fact that you coached JJ Watt, and to both kind of end your careers at the same time. Maybe it wasn't planned, but what he's obviously maybe one of your the biggest player that you've coached. To end your career at the same time, what are your thoughts on that?
Oh, I mean, nothing really on that. Like you said, it had, nothing to do with anything really. I had decided, last year at the end of the season that this was going to be my last year. And I think, JJ obviously had just an unbelievable career. I'm sure he'll be in the Pro Football Hall of Fame in 5 years, the first you can end up getting in there. And I think he just, he said his, body kept getting beat up all the time and stuff. He had a tremendous year this year. He had 12 and a half sacks. So he was like 6th in the league in sacks this year, which is, unbelievable, especially, for his age and stuff. But he told me we played him with about 3 or 4 weeks left, and he had 3 sacks in the game. And I told him, I said, man, it looks like you got a couple years left. He said, nope. He said, this is it. And then he came out a couple weeks later and, announced it to the, the public. So, but it's sort of neat, definitely though, because I've stayed in contact with him the whole time, since I was, done coaching him and stuff, and just a tremendous person.
And then last question for me, obviously you're a Bobcat great, and everyone in Bozeman or across the state of Montana knows who Bill Kollar is. And went on to have a storied career in the NFL. How do you think Montana State, impacted the way that you coach? What did you learn at Montana State that maybe you put in those 40 plus years of coaching?
Well, I think, what happens, since, we weren't, say Ohio State, USC, Alabama. I mean, the players that we had out there were guys that end up working their butt off all the time, right? They didn't have anything given to them. You had to end up working your butt off all the time. And I think, we had a great work ethic out there, in Bozeman. And obviously my first year there, Tom Perrick was the head coach, and then Sonny Holland took over, and, just both of them did a tremendous job. And that was the biggest thing. And I mean, you could still see it in the players now. I got to end up seeing a couple games this year, and, as hard as they play, and I mean, and you can see them when they're out on the field, they enjoy playing. You'll see sometimes you'll see players and stuff, and it's almost like they're always complaining and whining, and, but I mean, you see those guys out there, and man, I mean, they do a heck of a job. I mean, the coaching staffs, done a, tremendous job with those guys. And again, it was able to end up going to the playoff game, one of the playoff games. I went to the first game of the season, and I also went to the game that was in northern Colorado, in Greeley this year. So it was, really enjoyable to end up watching the guys play.
Definitely that blue collar attitude. Well, thanks, Coach, and definitely a big congrats.
Yep. Thank you very much.
Parker Gabriel, you're up.
Hey, Bill, down your way in Denver. I was curious what the last 8 years of the coaching journey's been like for you with the Broncos, and just kind of what that period of your career has meant to you. Obviously, you said you're sort of settling down there now in retirement.
Yeah, well, what happened the first year we got here with Coach Kubiak, we were lucky enough to end up winning the Super Bowl. And obviously it was a, tremendous deal because I had, coached in 2 other Super Bowls and we had lost them. And, it was just a tremendous feeling to, finally get the Super Bowl ring and stuff. And you couldn't beat it. And then obviously we've had some, rough times over these last 7 years. And, nobody likes that, right? Where you just, for one reason or another, you can't get over the hump. And that's how we've been here. So again, and I'm definitely, just like I'm a Bobcat for life, I'm a Denver Bronco for life. So obviously I'm going to be rooting for those guys, just like I end up rooting for the Bobcats. And I'm hoping that they can end up getting this, thing turned around as soon as possible and, get back into the playoffs, and hopefully they can end up, winning another Super Bowl.
Well, Lamberty won't think much of that, but that sounds all right. The last thing I was going to ask you about is the last, you've coached so many different people, you've coached with a lot of different people, and I'm curious about this particular defensive staff, because you guys were obviously really good this year. What it was like working with Dom and what it was like working with Ajero and watching him, be a coordinator for the first time this year.
Oh yeah, they like you said, they did a tremendous job especially for all the injuries we had on defense, and obviously we did on offense too, but so many on defense. We traded Bradley Chubb away, earlier in the season. Randy Gregory, I think, maybe played 3 games all year. There's your 2 outside, linebackers. That's your pass rush, that, didn't play much at all this year and stuff. And to be able to play as good as we played on defense was unbelievable, especially like you said, for E, this is his first time, as, being a coordinator, and did a, tremendous job. Obviously what happened, when Dom was defensive coordinator in Green Bay, Ezra was up there and he was a quality control guy for him for a few years, so, I mean, that's where they really have the good connections. So when Ez, got the defensive coordinator's job here, he wanted to end up bringing Dom with him, to help out some, which obviously it, worked out, tremendously. So, but I mean, if the defensive staff stays intact and they stay here with the new coaches coming in, I think they'll definitely be in great hands. That's for sure.
Appreciate you. Thanks.
You bet.
Join Town Pump's Pump It Up Rewards Plus program and never pay full price for fuel again.
Save 5 cents on every gallon every day at any Town Pump across Montana.
Plus, earn and redeem points on your favorite in-store items to get free stuff with our clubs.
Stop in and pick up a rewards card. Download the Pump It Up Rewards Plus app today.
Or visit townpump.com/rewards to register and start saving.
Town Pump. Right down the road. Pump it up. Oh, yeah.
Victor Flores.
Yeah, just a couple more for me, Bill. First of all, I know he wasn't part of your position group, but coaching Alex Singleton or having him on your team, another Bobcat, how cool was that this year?
I'm gonna tell you what, and I'm serious. This guy is an unbelievable player. I'm telling you. I mean, the guy. In fact, he might have set the Denver Bronco record for tackles for a linebacker this year. And the thing is, he only played about 65% of the snaps because, sometimes the linebacker isn't in there, in nickel situations and stuff. There was one game earlier in the year, He had 19 solo tackles in the game, which is the second most ever in the NFL. Now think of that. Now, I mean, I'm gonna tell you, this guy is a great person, a hell of a player. I'm hoping again because I'm going to be a Denver Bronco fan. I'm hoping because he only had a 1-year contract, so his contract's up. I'm hoping they get him signed back, and he's got another 2 or 3 years here because I mean the guy is a great guy and a hell of a player. Really, I mean, Bobcats were in really good hands when he was up there playing. I know that for sure.
Yeah, his rise this year was really impressive to watch. And then back to your MSU days. I mean, any memories that you haven't mentioned, or any ones that really stand out that you want to mention, just from your playing days back in the 70s?
Not really. I mean, just you play with your teammates. Obviously, way back then, I had Leon Potke. He came from Warren with me. He was at the other school. He was at Warren Western Reserve. I was at Warren Harding. But obviously, we went out there and became teammates, and became good friends. And then we had Jim Boyle came the next year. He came from Niles, Ohio, which is a great program there. And he played with me and Leon for 3 years and stuff. And you just make friendships like that. And then all the other guys back then, in Montana, it seemed to be maybe a little bit more, Montana State players there than it is now. And don't quote me on that. I don't know if that's, for sure or not, but I remember all the guys, that we had from Montana that played, for anywhere. You remember Zuni McLean, Plentywood, Fairfield, Butte, all those guys and cities and stuff. And it's just great. You make, friendships for life and, just really, really, when I made the decision to go to, Montana State, it was the best, like I said, the best decision I've ever made.
The last one for me, I mean, you mentioned Sonny Holland. Obviously, he passed away last month. What have been kind of your thoughts on seeing the reception for his life and any just other thoughts on playing for him?
Oh yeah, he obviously he was a great guy. Everybody loved him. I mean, you couldn't help but love him. He'd get that chew. He'd, get some of that Copenhagen or Skol out, and he'd get a little buzz, and he'd be going nuts and stuff, for practice and stuff. Being from Butte, obviously everybody from Butte is just tougher than heck because you got to be. Who in the heck wants to live in Butte? Just kidding. But really, I mean, he was as tough as nails, and that's the way the team ended up playing. Like I said, everybody loved him. Had a great, backing. They've got the Holland Zone in the stadium, right? You have the statue, down by the new facility and everything, and it was just great. And everybody obviously hated to see him, pass away, but that's how it goes.
Thanks so much, Bill.
You bet.
Bill, I'd love to get your thoughts on just a couple things real quick. We've talked about Sonny, but that coaching staff that you played for was amazingly accomplished with Sonny Lubick, Cliff Heisel, Don Christensen, who passed away recently. Could you maybe just give some thoughts about the staff as a whole and the coaching you received at Montana State?
Oh yeah, I think that's one thing, because maybe sometimes, obviously back then 50 years ago, maybe the players that were playing, at the 1AA level or whatever weren't maybe getting as top-notch coaching as we did, because it was just like we were playing at Ohio State, USC, whatever. I mean, those guys did a tremendous job. And the funny thing is, obviously, when I was there, you say, hey, man, we're getting a good job, by the coach and stuff. But then as it went, and then when I went and played in the NFL, and how, well, you roll right in there and you're right on the other level with those guys because it's, you had, the top-notch coaching, all along, when you were in college. And then obviously it ended up helping me out for when I got it, into coaching then. I had played for Abe Gibran, in Tampa for 6 years and stuff. And he did a tremendous job. And you just pick up little things from, certain coaches and all that kind of stuff. And that sort of eventually ends up becoming your style. And, like you said, when I was at Montana State, we had a top-notch, coaching staff, that's for sure.
And then last thing I'd like to get your thoughts on is Brad Dawes mentioned the rough and tumble steel mill mentality of the Ohio guys, and Montana State really built its program way back in the 50s on Ohio and Pennsylvania guys. And so I'm wondering if you could just comment on, coming from Ohio, the importance of the game of football in your home area, and how that blended in to the environment here at Montana State.
Yeah, I definitely think that. I was from Warren, Ohio, and back then what it ended up turning out to be was, it was steel mills, right? So it was, blue collar, hard working individuals and stuff, that we end up, having there. And so, what would end up happening is, and again, because and then you had the mix of the Montana kids, like I said, of, Butte and you know how it is too now. Those suckers that are out on those ranches, working on those ranches, those guys are tougher than nails. You got to be when those doggone cows and everything's kicking the crap out of you. So, we had a group of guys there that were, really tough, and it carried over onto the football field, and everybody end up loving it. That's how you got to be. When you're playing football, it's not an easy sport. You got to love it. And that's how we were. Coach Holland and Coach Erickson, Coach Lubick, all those guys, really instilled in us and really, took us forward. Because here's one thing you forgot. Now, I was there with Dennis Erickson one year. My freshman year, he was our freshman coach, believe it or not. So, he did a heck of a job there too, that freshman year with us.
Yeah, he'll give me hell for not mentioning him. Anything else from the group? Bill, thank you so much for taking the time to do this today. I know we all appreciate it very much, and are thrilled for the well-deserved honor, and look forward to seeing you when you get back to Bozeman next.
All right. You better believe it. I'll see you guys up there this summer.
In just a few minutes, small business owners can now sign up for Blackfoot Communication Services. Whether it's dependable voice options or internet services, sign up simply by visiting blackfootsmallbusiness.com. Click on the services you wish, select an installation time and date, and you're done. Small business services at the touch of your fingers. Connect to more with Blackfoot Communications and blackfootsmallbusiness.com.